Trends in the new mental framework for pharma include trends in rare disease, personalized medicine, Digi-Health, process reengineering, patient perspective, so we'll finally get to patient-focused drug development in this segment, data sharing, and collaboration. So rare disease, the first thing that people say to me when I mention that pharma is really interested in rare diseases is why? It's such a small population. Rare diseases are defined as a population that is 200,000 patients or less in this country. There are some 7,000 to 8,000 rare diseases. And for 95% of those, there are no effective treatments. It's called orphan disease, or orphan drug, rather, because for many years, these rare diseases were considered orphaned from the medical community. So what's really tough, too, here is that most of these conditions are genetic, they're serious, they're life-threatening, they're not lifestyle choices. So that's also something that brings heart to the matter. And I have been working with rare disease products for the last 6 years. So it's really changed how I look at drug development personally, and it's changed what I have as a personal mission. It's sad in these cases where patients don't even want to be diagnosed because they're afraid they'll be denied life insurance or other things if there's no specific treatment. So in many cases, people hide with rare diseases, which is also not helping them. So you would say, well, so is pharma interested? And yeah, well, the Orphan Drug Act came out in 1983. It created open doors for FDA incentives to develop orphan drugs. There are tax credits, extended market exclusivity. They get priority review. And then also accelerated development opportunities and collaborations with the agency, which is wonderful. But now, if you look at the numbers, there is a huge increase in orphan designations, which means the company files a package for an orphan status. The agency reviews it, sees if the product actually for that indication meets the criteria for orphan status, and then it is then designated as an orphan drug. So you can see that orphan drug designations are increasing. But what's really shocking to those who aren't connected with this space is that you're also seeing a great increase in the approvals of meds for rare diseases. So great development work is being done here. 47% of the drugs approved last year were for rare indications. So pharma is here because this is a new way to map the road to the future. Why are they here? It's enhancement to the pipeline. If you have 10 indications for 10 different rare diseases, you sort of built a new blockbuster in a way. If you think about it, for an existing compound that's approved in a broader indication, you've already done a lot of the early work that does not have to be repeated. So your preclinical work, some of your early phase work in healthy subjects is done. It's a body of data that's valuable in the context of a new indication. And then with those changes in the regulatory requirements, you have an expedited opportunity. So it's a great idea to enhance your pipeline, but in the meantime, you're helping people that haven't had any choices in the past, so it's also great. There are shorter development timelines, fewer hurdles, longer exclusivity, reduced costs, favorable reimbursement. Pharma is definitely in this space. So I've kind of mentioned this already. Shorter times to development, more likely to be approved. If you look at approval as the center one, you have an increased likelihood of approval. So that's great stuff. So that's one trend. Another trend that's growing with the pharmaceutical industry is really focusing on personalized medicine. So up to 50% of the new meds in the pipeline are reportedly personalized. What does it mean? In the example of, say, for example, a particular cancer, looking at the genetic profile of that cancer, understanding which treatments will actually respond, or which patients will respond to a specific treatment, not putting the patient on one they will not respond to based on the genetic profile of their tumor. So that's one example. Some of you are touching this space, I'm guessing, because this is getting more and more interesting at the biomarker level. many places. Some of you are already touching some of this, redesigning how we do the work we do in order to create personalized solutions for patients. And this is what it looks like for the Innovenn team and the work that we do with some of our clients. We are really looking, and we've been asked many times to say, okay, here we are with this rare disease. What is the unmet need really? In the past, we defined unmet need as well, what are KOLs working on? What is it that they say we need to be doing? Consulting a number of folks at the agency, sort of focusing in on a particular endpoint. But now we're really seeing unmet need as completely more broad. Really looking at, especially in rare, where there's no diagnostic, there's no prognostic. These are, diseases that are not well characterized. We're starting to say, well, if we're developing a drug for these diseases, the rest of this is something that's really important too. So these teams that are cross-functional, multinational, and even include, folks from all over the world and outside of the companies are really looking at how we can develop appropriate diagnostics, prognostics, how we can look at which patients will respond to treatment, and which are at risk of toxicity, which I think is a really exciting space to be working in, because no one wants to be that person in the commercial who had all those terrible things that you hear about in the direct-to-consumer ads. But definitely knowing when to intervene, what dose to start. If you think about it personally, these are questions you have every day, and you want answers to your questions, if you do have a health issue. So moving on, another big trend with pharma is really integrating with Digi-Health. So that means not just your Fitbit in a clinical trial, that's not what we're really talking about, but really getting to the heart of solutions that we can create that are patient-facing, that help the patient manage their disease or their condition or manage their journey, if you will. This is a big part of the role that Innovenn plays. How do we start with enabling the patient with technology that will also then engage them in the research process? So Digi-Health is right now where pharma is looking. How do we get to be part of this? How do we supply opportunity for our patients? How do we integrate them into that research process using technology? And I will always say we should constantly re-engineer the clinical research enterprise. We obviously have to be faster, more efficient when you look at those costs of doing clinical trials.